Alexander Reed stood at the window of his penthouse office, watching the Manhattan skyline with tired eyes. At 42, he had amassed a fortune that most could only dream of. Yet for the past 3 months, his empire had been crumbling. 15. Financial experts had cycled through his office, each promising solutions, each failing spectacularly. "Mr. Reed, your 2 o'clock is here," his assistant announced through the intercom. Alexander sighed. Another expert with another plan. Send them in. But instead of the suited consultant he expected, a young woman in a food delivery uniform stumbled through the door, rain-soaked and balancing a tower of containers. "Sorry I'm late. The elevator got stuck, and then it started pouring, and—" She stopped abruptly, taking in the luxury surrounding her. "Wow, nice view." "You're not my appointment," Alexander stated flatly. "I'm Maya, delivering your lunch." She placed the containers on his desk with surprising care. "Though I'm pretty sure your appointment isn't coming." I passed a man storming out of the building, cursing about impossible billionaires and financial. Suicide. Alexander's jaw tightened. Consultant number 16. Gone before he'd even arrived. Maya should have left then, but something in Alexander's expression made her pause. "Bad day?" "Bad quarter," he corrected, surprising himself with his honesty. She nodded thoughtfully, then glanced at the financial reports scattered across his desk. "Those numbers don't add up." Alexander laughed bitterly. 15 experts have said the same thing. "No, I mean literally," Maya pointed to a column of figures. "This calculation is wrong. And this one." And she moved papers around with casual confidence. "If you're basing decisions on these reports, no wonder nothing's working." Alexander stared at her. "You understand financial modeling?" "Economics major, 3 credits short of graduating when my mom got sick. Now I deliver food to, pay for her care." She shrugged. "Life happens." For the first time in months, Alexander felt a flicker of hope. "How much do you make delivering food?" "Not enough," she answered honestly. "Cancel your deliveries for today. I'll pay you 10 times what you'd make. I need someone who can actually see what's in front of them." Maya hesitated, then pulled out her phone. "Let me call my supervisor." As she arranged to take the day off, Alexander watched her, wondering if fate had finally thrown him a lifeline in the most unexpected form. She wasn't polished or credentialed, but there was a sharp intelligence in her eyes that none of his expensive consultants had possessed. "Okay, Mr. Reed, you've got me until midnight," Maya said, pocketing her phone. "Where do we start?" "Call me Alexander. And we start with the truth, however ugly it might be." "Truth I can do," Maya replied, rolling up her sleeves. "Let's save your company." Neither of them realized that this rainy afternoon would change both their lives forever. By nightfall, Maya's delivery uniform was draped over a chair, her hair tied back in a messy bun as she worked in her t-shirt and jeans. The penthouse office was transformed. Financial statements covered every surface, color-coded with sticky notes and connected by lines of logic only she seemed to understand. "Your CFO has been cooking the books," Maya announced, tapping a spreadsheet. "For at least 18 months. He's been hiding losses, inflating assets, and ... She pointed to another document. "Moving money through shell companies. Classic embezzlement scheme." Alexander felt his blood run cold. "Marcus has been with me for 10 years. And he's been stealing from you for at least 2, Maya said gently. "The evidence is all here." Alexander paced the room, processing the betrayal. "The board meeting is tomorrow. They're expecting me to present a solution or resign." "Then we give them a solution," Maya said, undaunted. "We have all night." They worked through dinner, Maya explaining complex financial structures with remarkable clarity. Alexander found himself drawn not just to her intelligence, but to her determination. There was something refreshing about her approach. No pretense. No ego. Just an unwavering focus on solving the problem. At 3 a.m., they finally had a plan. A complete restructuring, exposing the fraud, cutting unnecessary expenses, and reallocating resources to the company's most promising divisions. This could actually work, Alexander said, amazed. Maya smiled tiredly. It will work. In the quiet moment that followed, Alexander realized how close they were standing. Maya's eyes reflected the city lights, bright with exhaustion and triumph. On impulse, he reached out and tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear. "Why did you help me?" he asked softly. "You didn't have to stay." "Because you needed it," she answered simply. "And because everyone deserves a second chance." Something shifted between them, a connection neither had anticipated. Alexander leaned forward slightly, then caught himself. "You should rest before." "A meeting," Maya said, breaking the tension. "I'll organize these documents for your presentation. What about you?" "I'll be fine. This is nothing compared to exam week." Alexander hesitated, then nodded. "The guest room is through there. At least take a few hours." Maya gathered the final papers. "Whatever happens tomorrow, you've already won. You know the truth now." Alexander watched her work, this unlikely savior, in a delivery uniform, who had accomplished what 15 experts couldn't. For the first time in months, he felt ready to face whatever came next, not just because they had a plan, but because he wasn't facing it alone. The boardroom fell silent as Alexander finished his presentation. 14 stern faces stared back. At him, the 15th Marcus, his CFO noticeably paler than the rest. "This is preposterous," Marcus finally sputtered. "You're basing a complete company overhaul on the analysis of a delivery girl?" Maya, now dressed in a borrowed suit that was slightly too large for her frame, stood confidently beside Alexander. "The numbers don't lie, Mr. Williams. Your creative accounting, however, does. I've already contacted the authorities," Alexander added. "They'll be reviewing all financial records. Anyone who participated in this fraud has until the end of day to come forward voluntarily." The boardroom erupted in chaos. 3 members immediately left, presumably to call their lawyers. Marcus lunged across the table, but security was faster, restraining him as he shouted accusations and threats. "You'll regret this, Reed. You're nothing without me." "I made this company what it is." Alexander remained calm. "No, Marcus. We built this company together, and then you tried to destroy it. The difference is, I found someone who could save it." After the police escorted Marcus out, the remaining board members voted unanimously to support Alexander's restructuring plan. When they filed out, Alexander closed the boardroom door and turned to Maya. "That was ... double he begins," she offered with a small smile. "I was going to say magnificent. You were magnificent." Maya blushed, unused to such praise. "I just showed them what was already there." "You did more than that." Alexander stepped closer. "You believed in me when no one else did, including myself." The connection between them had only strengthened through their shared battle. Standing there in the aftermath of victory, Maya suddenly felt vulnerable in a way that facing down a boardroom of executives hadn't made her feel. "I should go," she said softly. "My mother will be worried." Alexander nodded, understanding. "Let me drive you home." The ride to Maya's modest apartment in Queens was quiet, both of them processing the events of the past 24 hours. When they arrived, Alexander insisted on walking her to her door. "I want to offer you a job," he said as they reached her apartment. Maya looked surprised. "As what?" "My new CFO." She laughed, then realized he was serious. "Alexander, I don't even have my degree. We'll fix that. The company can sponsor you to finish your education. But I need someone with your skills and integrity watching over my finances." Before Maya could respond, the apartment door opened to reveal an older woman in a wheelchair, her mother. Maya? Who's this? She asked, curious eyes taking in Alexander's. Expensive suit. Maya looked between her mother and the billionaire standing in their hallway, worlds colliding in a way she never could have imagined when she'd set out on her delivery route yesterday. Mom, this is Alexander Reed, my new boss. 6 months transformed everything. Maya completed her degree with honors while learning the intricacies of corporate finance from within. Under her oversight, Alexander's company not only recovered but thrived, implementing innovative strategies. That attracted positive attention from the entire industry. Tonight, they were celebrating the company's most successful quarter in its history with a charity gala at Alexander's estate in the Hamptons. Maya stood on the terrace, watching the sunset reflect off the ocean. Her simple delivery uniform was a distant memory, replaced by an elegant emerald gown that complemented her now confident posture. There you are, Alexander's voice came from. Behind her, hiding from your admirers? Maya smiled as he joined her at the railing, just taking a moment. It's all still so surreal sometimes. Which part? Saving a Fortune 500 company from collapse? Becoming the youngest CFO in the industry? Or the fact that your mother's medical treatments are finally showing progress? All of it, she admitted, especially how you've changed. Alexander raised an eyebrow. Changed? When we met, you were ... She searched for a diplomatic word. An arrogant, isolated workaholic, he offered with a self-deprecating smile. I was. Going to say guarded. Now you visit the staff cafeteria. You remember birthdays. You sponsored that scholarship program for first-generation college students. Alexander looked out at the horizon. I learned from you. You showed me that success means nothing if you're not helping others along the way. They stood in comfortable silence, shoulders almost touching. Over the months, their professional relationship had deepened into a friendship neither had expected. But beneath that friendship, something else had been growing, something neither had been brave enough to acknowledge. Maya, Alexander began hesitantly, there's something I need to tell you. Before he could continue, his assistant appeared. Mr. Reed, the mayor has arrived and is asking for you both. Alexander nodded. We'll be right there. As the assistant left, Maya turned to him. What were you going to say? He shook his head. It can wait. Tonight is about celebrating what we've accomplished. But as they walked back to the party, Alexander's hand brushed against hers, and their fingers intertwined for just a moment, a silent acknowledgement of possibilities still unspoken. Inside, guests applauded as they entered. Maya's mother, her health improving daily thanks to the specialized care she now received, smiled proudly from her place of honor near the stage. Ready for your speech? Alexander whispered. Maya nodded, squeezing his hand once before letting go. As she moved toward the podium, she caught his gaze, a look that promised their story was far from over. The room fell silent, waiting for the woman who had saved an empire to speak. Maya took a deep breath, no longer the hesitant delivery girl, but someone who had found her place in a world she never expected to enter. 1 year to the day since their first meeting, Alexander stood in the same penthouse office, watching the same Manhattan skyline. But everything else had changed. The door opened, and Maya entered now, his equal in the boardroom, respected throughout the financial world for her brilliance and integrity. More importantly, she had become essential to him in ways that transcended business. The board approved the expansion, she announced, and the foundation raised twice our goal for the scholarship fund. Alexander smiled. You've created quite a legacy in just 1 year. We did, she corrected him. Together. He crossed the room to stand before her. Do you ever think about that day? When you stumbled in with my lunch? Only every time I walk through that door, Maya admitted. Life can change direction so quickly. Alexander took her hand. I've been wanting to ask you something for months, but I was concerned about the professional implications. Maya's expression grew serious. What is it? Would you have dinner with me? Not as colleagues discussing quarterly projections. Not as friends celebrating a business victory. Just us. The question hung between them, the final barrier in their evolving relationship. Maya studied him, this man who had transformed from an isolated billionaire into someone who cared deeply about others. Someone who had helped her mother regain her health, who had created opportunities for countless people like herself. I thought you'd never ask, she whispered. Their first official date was intimate. Private dinner on the rooftop garden Alexander had built atop his building. Inspired by Maya's casual mention that she missed growing herbs like she had during college. Under the stars, they finally spoke openly about the connection that had been building between them since the beginning. I was dying inside before you came along, Alexander confessed. Surrounded by wealth but completely alone. Maya reached across the table for his hand. And I was struggling to survive, putting my dreams on hold indefinitely. We saved each other. The delivery girl and the millionaire, Alexander smiled. Sounds like a fairy tale. Except I didn't need rescuing, Maya reminded him with a playful smile. I needed an opportunity. And I needed someone who saw me as a person, not a bank account. He countered Dot as the evening drew to a close. They stood at the garden's edge. The city spread before them like a sea of possibilities. 15 experts couldn't save my company, Alexander mused. But one extraordinary woman saved everything that matters. When he kissed her, it felt like the beginning of a new chapter 1, written not by fate or fortune, but by two people who had found in each other exactly what they needed. Most. Maya smiled against his lips. What would have happened if I'd delivered to the wrong office that day? I don't believe it was wrong at all, Alexander whispered. I think it was exactly where you were meant to be. Above them, the stars witnessed the completion of a circle. That had begun with a simple delivery and ended with the most valuable exchange of all. Two hearts finding their home in each other. The end.